everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this inspiring series. My name is Christine Lucida. I'm a diet and health expert. I'm also a lifestyle contributor, and I also have a new book coming out in 2017 called The Perfect Diet Solution. I'm so excited to be here with these amazing and beautiful women. We'll first start with Lorna Jane, the creator of Lorna Jane Active Living. If you don't know who she is. Now, I don't know if you guys know a little bit about Lorna's story, but it's pretty neat. She's been inspiring women for so long, and she started this active living line in her living room floor while also being a fitness instructor. And now she has grown to a global brand with over 200 stores worldwide. Exactly. She's a best-selling author. And what's really great about Lorna is she is so passionate about teaching people to embrace who they are and how to live healthy through her Move, Nourish, and Believe philosophy. And that's what we're going to talk with them about today. So I'm so excited to be here. Let's give Lorna a great hand. Also, I've got Danielle LaPorte. Now, Danielle is a part of Oprah's Super Soul 100. In Oprah's words exactly, I don't want to mess these up, so I'm going to read them for you, is uniquely connecting the world together with a spiritual energy that matters. Yay! She's also an author, a speaker, a poet, a painter, a former business strategist, and more importantly, she loves inspiring women through her kick-ass spirituality. She's the author of the Fire Starter Sessions, The Desire Map, A Guide to Creating Goals with Soul, and her new book, The White Hot Truth. Let's welcome her and let her know that we're so excited to be here. So we're going to have a little girl chat, which is going to be so much fun for these women today. And we're going to start with, we're talking about a new year and being you in this new year and embracing who you are. So, Lorna, I'm going to start with you. Concentrate. What do resolutions mean to you?
Resolutions. I guess, it's the time of year when everyone's sort of under that pressure to make New Year's resolutions. And for me, I think resolutions are a daily thing. At Lorna Jane, we like to talk about them as intentions. With active living, we set our Move, Nourish, and Believe intentions every single morning. I feel like you can have these big resolutions and things that you want to achieve in your life, but I think if you break them down into small, achievable things that you do every day, then you really can see change in your life. So, for example, with Move, Nourish, Believe, my thoughts on it are that to create an environment in your life where you can be able and ready to take up any opportunities that come your way, you need to be as fit and healthy and physically alert as you possibly can. And that means that you need to look after yourself. So when we talk about active living, we say set your Move, Nourish, and Believe intentions, wake up every morning and pick a move. So, if it's a busy day, you might just say, I'm going to walk my beautiful puppies a little bit longer today, And your nourish might be, I'm going to drink a little bit more water today. And your believe might be, I'm not going to say anything negative about my appearance. And if you make these intentions a ritual in your life and you wake up every day and set smaller ones, sometimes you'll repeat them and sometimes they're really big, like I'm getting ready for that marathon and it's something that I really want to do this year. It's proven, and I've watched people do this, it's just proven that they actually end up fitter and healthy and more alert in their life and ready to take on opportunities. So I think that one of the biggest reasons we don't have change in our life is that we feel like we don't have time and it's too overwhelming. But I think if we break down these resolutions into bite-sized pieces and wake up every day with intentions that are good for us and are going to move us forward, then I think we will see change.
Thank you, and that's really important, thinking about the Move, Nourish, and Believe. Just doing one of those in that category each day can be really helpful. Now, Danielle, this is for you. So you talk about the roots of the word resolution. Tell me what that means to you.
First, I want to ask, how's everybody doing today?
Great.
How many people here set resolutions for this year? Yeah. Just shout out a couple words about what your resolutions are.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
That's great.
Self-help. Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. What was this one over here?
Self-love.
Self-love.
Consistency.
Consistency. Who didn't set, and what?
Explore.
Who didn't set resolutions? Yeah. Now just shout out some words about why didn't you set a resolution?
Because the timing didn't feel right.
Right.
I didn't feel like I had my family here and I was still in the holiday feel, and I didn't want to set any resolutions yet. I just felt like I needed space on my own. Yeah.
Timing is a great reason. So give me the words as to like the reasons why, just one word, why you didn't set a resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed to. I didn't need a new year to start doing what I wanted to do in my heart.
Love. Okay.
A failure. I think that the word resolution sometimes sets people up for failure as opposed to like you were talking about intention.
Yeah.
I think the word intention and resolution, for me anyway, are different.
Yeah. Why didn't you set resolutions?
I'm always on the path to try to make myself better already, you know, so to make a resolution is something that doesn't work in my goals and needs.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like resolutions only work if you want them to, right? It's only sacred. Things are sacred because we declare them to be sacred. Gold has value because we say this has value. Time has value because we assign a value to it. So, and the whole concept of semantics, of resolution can really get down to semantics. So resolution, intentions, goals, it doesn't matter. It's really about your heart. And I think you make a really important point about timing. One of the ontology of the word resolution, one of the many layers in this definition, it comes from the word loosen. And that is not what we associate resolutions with. And this is the reason why failure is so often associated with resolutions, because we do the opposite, we constrict. And this is part of a bigger phenomenon around constricting in order to meet our goals. Because our goals are so often externally set. They're externally motivated. And we operate on motivation instead of inspiration. Inspiration is internal. Motivation is from an outside source.
Well, thank you. And that kind of actually leads me to my next question for you, which is, how do you create goals or intentions with soul?
Yeah. So I wrote a book called The Desire Map. So I'll tell you how to desire map in about 30 seconds. You don't even have to buy the book. Like, what a deal today. Essentially, the idea, the whole premise is about turning the relationship to ambition inside out. Because everything you're doing, the yoga class you go to, the yoga class you don't go to, what you buy, what you wear, what you put into your body, who you hang out with, the job you choose, how you get married, all of it is because you want to feel a certain way. And I'm taking a stand that is some white hot truth. That's my belief. So why don't, if you're going to reverse it, why don't you get clear on how you want to feel first, and then your bucket list and your to-do list, and how you move, nourish, and believe is related to generating those core desired feelings. So how you desire map, go through every area of your life, ask yourself how you want to feel, get all those words out, then you do some pattern recognition, get those 100 words, those 10 words, whatever it is, down to like 3 or 4 words. Those are your core desired feelings, and your bucket list is a reflection of those core desired feelings. The quickest way, this is desire mapping for dummies. I hate that phrase, but it gets at the point across. Think about how you don't want to feel. Negative, heavy, whatever it is. Your core desired feelings are the opposite of that. That's it.
Thank you. That's really great information. We all really appreciate that. Now, Lorna, my next one is for you. What made you think of the move, nourish, believe, and what does it really mean to you?
I started designing activewear because I wanted to inspire women to work out more, and everyone thought I was crazy, But that was what I wanted to do. That's what made my heart sing, and that's what I thought was my purpose for being in life. And as my career got bigger and bigger, I opened more stores, and people started to want to hear my story. One of the biggest questions that they'd ask is, how do you stay so fit and healthy and run this global business? And I thought, well, doesn't everyone else do this? Because it was something that I just did naturally.
No,
with
everyone else just wants to.
I found that out later. When I delved a little bit deeper to understand why they didn't do this, I felt the biggest thing that I was getting back was that they didn't have enough time, and there was all these excuses, and it was majority time, or they didn't have the knowledge. And then I took it back to what I was doing, and I worked out that I was just doing small things. So like if I set the alarm for 5 o'clock and I didn't feel like the run that I'd planned in the morning, I would just like snooze it over to 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and I'd go for a walk instead, but I wouldn't say no, So I just thought, well, maybe if I teach people to just make really small changes in their lives, they'll wake up in a month, 3 months, 6 months, and there will be a big difference. And it worked. So it was really just for me to try and let the people that I'd met in my life understand that it doesn't take huge, big changes and 3 hours of exercise every day and cooking in the kitchen for, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 to actually live a healthy life. So you can, do those 10-minute meals and those 15-minute workouts.
Absolutely. Can you share maybe one tip of an intention that you set that is kind of like a non-negotiable for you?
I move every day. I move my body every day, and not to look awesome, although, it's just because it makes me feel good. Yeah. Like I've been doing it for so long that if I don't move my body in some way, and it is sometimes just walking my dog, I just don't feel like I'm Lorna, And I think if you can get to that point in your life, setting those intentions every single day, that it becomes part of who you are, then there's no turning back. So that's what Move Nourish Believe is all about.
Great advice. Thank you. Now, Danielle, this is for you. So how do you stay on track with your resolutions and make them actionable so you can succeed?
Well, back to the semantics of resolutions. I like the phrase, I resolve to. And sometimes you have to resolve, like you have to work your way towards making, to committing to something. I'm really clear on how I want to feel. And that really guides what I say yes to and what I say no to. I say no to 80% of what comes my way. I say no thank you, no comma thank you. And my, anything that I consider to be a success in my life, whether it's like my health, or I'm there for 3 o'clock when my kid comes home from school, or I have a lot of great shoes, or, I feel pretty calm and peaceful most of the time, is because I say no to things. And this is a particular skill for women to develop, because we're so nurturing, we're so naturally inclusive and caring, and there's lots of pressure to be otherwise. So for me it's about the no. And in addition to my core desired feelings, just real basic physical awareness. So like we have a phrase on the team, heavy or light. So someone can come up with an idea, and it can be a potentially lucrative idea, and like we can launch it, and we got the skills, and everybody wants it. But then there's like that pause in the team, and it's just like, ugh. It's like heavy. And unless we're like lit up, and sometimes it's the crazy, impossible things that light you up. But if there's a heavy feeling, it's a no. Like somebody just asked me to send something to Oprah, and of mine, and I was like, it feels heavy, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, there's other things I wanna do with Oprah.
Sure.
But my body was a no. So I did that. That's kind of nuts, but follow the bod.
It sounds like you're respecting that.
Yeah.
Respecting yourself. So that's a good path for all of us to sort of go down. And now, Lorna, for you, like who or what inspires you? Kind of a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of things that inspire me. Thank goodness, we all want to be inspired. But I think if I have to pick one single thing that really inspires me, it's seeing someone doing what they love. It can be anything. But when someone's following their path and has really put some thought into it and is passionate about what they're doing, it doesn't matter how hard it is or how easy it is, they're just going for it. I just love to see people excited about what they're doing or really engaged with what they're talking about, and that really inspires me. And I do a school program in Australia where I talk to young girls, and I just think, if you can just live your life and find what you're passionate about, you'll inspire everyone else around you, So I think there's a thing right now with young girls, they want to inspire other people, but it's more about finding what you love and what you want to do and using your own vulnerabilities and talents. And that is super inspiring. Whether it makes you a lot of money or gives you a lot of free time or gets you surfing around the world, it's inspiring. So that's my message. Find your life and just grab it with both hands.
Great, thank you. And the same goes for you. So what? And who
Well, I'm inspired by
you?
these 3 women just walked in because you guys are hot. Like you are dressed. So I'm really inspired by women who show up, in their expression of style, whatever that is, whether it's flip flops or rad shoes or whatever. I'm really inspired by my kid. I have this really great 13-year-old son. And he got drums for Christmas, and he just rocks out in his little Joe Boxer underwear. I'm inspired by all the artists we lost last year. I was very moved by the death of Leonard Cohen and Prince and Bowie, and I was surprised by how moved I was by their passing. And I felt like that was, on a really esoteric level, that was a baton passing. And because I was just like, who's going to write the poetry now? And who's going to be sexy? And who's going to be androgynous? And it's like, we are now. And truth-telling for me is pretty sexy. So somebody just who has the skill's not the right word, who has the love to deliver truth in an elegant way. Yeah, so
it can be in anyone.
Yeah, it can be anybody.
Great.
Yeah.
So now for you, I might also want to ask you, Danielle, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Sleep with that guy. The best piece of advice.
We all want to know who now.
Everybody up on that one. The best piece of business advice was, it's not your job to make them comfortable. So I was getting out of it was like a nasty business divorce, everything was falling apart, and we need you to sign, and we need you to sign by this date, and you need to pull this money out, and you need to do this. And actually, legally, morally, ethically, a lot of that was not my responsibility. And my mentor at the time was like, they want you to put it in a box and put a fucking bow on it for them. And it's not your job. Your job is to sleep well at night and be in your integrity. Mm-hmm. And that was really hard for me to not jump. And that changed the way I do business.
That kind of needs to get an amen, don't we think? Amen. Absolutely. Now, Lorna, a lot of us struggle to keep going day after day, and so I'd like to ask you, what motivates you to keep going towards your intentions and your goals?
Honestly, I actually don't think about it because I think I want to inspire women all over the world. I want people to take care of themselves and find their unique talents and live amazing lives. I don't want people looking at other people's lives and saying, I want that, I want that. I want you to be so involved in your life that you have no time for that. No time for criticism, no time for comparison. Just like, you know what? I'm doing this, I just want to focus on what I'm doing and the people in my life and the things that I want to achieve. And now I've forgot the question. What was it?
No, that's okay, because you actually really lead to a good point, which is compare despair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Comparison is toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killer of joy.
That's number one killer of joy.
Yeah.
Number two, stress.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that kind of leads me
Did
to.
I answer the question? I'm sorry.
No, you did.
Yeah, you nailed it.
You did. It was a great kind of lead in, and I'd kind of like to ask you the same thing. Like, what motivates you to keep going continuously?
Well, I'm devoted. I'm not motivated. I can do this even when I'm not inspired. I am devoted to bringing more light to the world. I am devoted to raising consciousness. I will go the distance. I'm I'm very clear. I'm in this.
And it sounds like you're really tuned into how you want to feel, and you're devoted to feeling good. And that seems like that's a big driving force for you.
Yeah, it has to be inner and outer for me.
Right.
So I want to feel good. I want to feel my core desired feelings. I want to be self-expressed. I want pleasure, and I want luxury in my life, luxury of time, whatever that is. And I'm connected. You know, like, I'm in a lot of pain because of the situation of the world. And I'm going to do something about it. And I'm, you know, it's not necessarily about being deeply sensitive, it's about being broadly awake. And yeah, I hurt. So.
Well, thank you. We're going to kind of switch gears a little bit, because I'd like to ask you, Lorna, what are some of the biggest risks you've taken with your brand, and how did it go? I can say you went pretty well.
I balanced it. I think if you look at any great business or great brand or great career or great life, there's usually an element of risk in there, you know. So I think in business you do take risks every day, and especially if you're trying to break ground and do new things and have ideas that people don't really get, but I think, oh, I'll get them later, I'll just keep going, you know, I'll prove it, or, you know, like I have to live this. But I guess the biggest risk I've ever taken, and I think it's the hardest one for most people that I speak to, is the first one. It's, you know, so for me, it was that risk of leaving my full-time job and deciding, I'm going to make activewear full-time, you know, like there wasn't even an industry, you know. They didn't have activewear stores, and people thought I was absolutely crazy to think that to open a women's only activewear store, you know, to try and inspire women with clothing, like, you know, this woman's crazy. So that's the biggest risk. The biggest risk is, I guess, when people don't get what you're doing, and I guess you shouldn't be really looking for their support, but it would be nice to have someone else, that sounds like a good idea, not like, that sounds, nah, don't do that, Lorna, you know. So I think the biggest risk for us, for my husband and I, was actually quitting our reliable source of income. You know, we still had to meet them all, we had to pay the bills, and I think our first store we opened, we had to make $400 or something, and we made it in the first week, and we had to do it in the month, so it was like, yeah.
That 400 was your break even?
Yeah.
That's great.
I've been doing this a long time. So that's calculated risk, I guess. You know, just got to hit that 400. You know what you have to do. So, but yeah, the biggest risk is for me, and I'm sure you may agree, is the first step, the big one, because then you have small wins along the way, and you have things that go wrong, but then the passion's there, and you keep going. But it's the first one, the first one that gets you right in.
Right.
Getting deep.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Danielle, for you, I don't really want to use this word mistake, because I think a mistake is more like a life lesson. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask you, what do you feel like one of the biggest life lessons that you've ever made?
Life lessons? Well, I put out a post this week. I think I titled it, "All of my failures are connected to my silence." So it's the same damn lesson all the time. It's not just one, right? And that's why it's a lesson, because you keep learning it and you go, I did it again. I was quiet. So that's it. It's the times where I signed anyway, where I didn't say, I don't really want to do that. I don't, you know, and you're trying to make someone feel great, you're trying to keep the whole team motivated, or you think this is going to lead to like your next this is like your big shot, and never works out. Silence always leads to agony.
I agree
always.
with that. I agree with that. For me, one of the biggest mistakes I made was someone saying something about me and my brand, and it was wrong. It was totally not true. And I just didn't feel like I should respond, because it was just stupid. And I'm not even going to give that any of my time. And I should have got up there and said, that's not true, you know. And it's true. Silence sometimes can make you more understood. And
yeah, the courage to clarify.
yeah,
It's necessary.
yeah.
Right, the world is constantly interpreting you. So just keep sending that clear message. Yeah.
Great. Well, let's kind of talk about the opposite of mistakes, which is celebration of
Okay.
ourselves, right? I mean, how, Lorna, how do you celebrate your accomplishments? It's so important.
It is. It's really important,
Yeah.
but I'm really, really bad at it. Like really bad, because I'm on a mission and I'm just very energetic and determined, and I'm moving forward all the time. And it's something that and maybe I should set that as an intention this year, is that to celebrate more. And when it was just my husband and I and a small team, we never celebrate. It's like, okay, got that, let's keep going. Now what's next? And there's always, I think, when you're on a journey that you're really passionate about, you're always thinking about the next thing, and it's almost like you're ticking off a list. But I think what I've learned is, as my team's got bigger, and we've got a global team now, that I'm going to learn something about myself right now, I think, is that I now like to celebrate for them, because I feel like I don't need the celebration, but I feel like let's celebrate, and I've started to enjoy it. It's actually quite fun. So I thought for your team members it's important to do that, because they've all worked so hard, and even though it's a shared dream, because you have people alongside you that believe in what you're doing, it is really them coming on board with your dream and helping you. So it is important that we celebrate along the way. So that's something I'm working on. I'll get back to you next year.
Great, so celebrating every small step along the way. Sounds like a
Not
great...
everyone, just
Okay, every couple.
That's too much.
You'll get there. You'll get there. And how about for you, Danielle?
I really resonate with that. So, and for those of you who don't have a company or you don't have a team, your loved ones want to celebrate you when you have a victory, whether that's finding love or your first gig or whatever it is, however you're coming out in the world. So I think it really is important. Acknowledgement is a celebration. And yeah, I always have a bottle of champagne in the fridge.
Excellent.
Yep. And I've also gotten way better at it. So definitely always lots of acknowledgement, but we nailed this. Let's go out for dinner.
Right.
Or let's everybody get a little bonus or a little mani-pedi or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Recognition.
Yeah.
Recognition, absolutely, I think goes a long way. Now let me ask you, Lorna, on our journey to success, there can be some obstacles along the way, and I want to know, has anyone ever stood in your way or blocked your path to get there? And if so, how did you overcome it? What did you learn?
No, I've been blessed, I think, that I've had really supportive people around me. I'm also very good at convincing people that what I think can be possible is possible. I think it's more convincing people. I remember I worked from under my house. I taught fitness classes and I just made stuff on the weekend, and I sewed under my house at home, and then I moved into having a little studio in a fitness centre that I worked at in the city. It was pretty full on. World Gym, you have that brand in here. So it was a big deal for me, and what was the question? Sorry.
That's okay. I wanted to know if anyone or anything was an obstacle.
And I remember
success.
I'd been there for a few years and it was going really well, but I felt like people who didn't work out at that particular gym didn't really feel that they could come in. They felt weird walking into a centre they weren't a member of. So I thought, I'm going to get a real store, a real one, in a real shopping centre. It's going to have my name on the door, and I had this plan. And I remember the owner of the fitness centre, who had been my friend and really helped me with my first store and things like that, sat me down in the subway next door and tried to talk me out of opening the store. And I was I think I was
What was the reasoning?
Because, Lorna, it's safe here. Your rent's only this. You're going to go in there. You're going to have to make $400 a week.
Yeah.
Or a month it was, actually.
Shit.
Yeah, shit it, And he nearly talked me out of it. Nearly talked me out of it. And but I said, no, I'm going to do it. And then when he left, I just sat in that booth for probably 15 minutes and cried my eyes out, And it was interesting because 10 or 15 years later, I just got a phone call out of the blue. And, obviously my business had grown and I had quite a few stores now. And I hadn't heard from him, and he just rang me and said, hey, Lorna, it's Alan here. I just wanted to say, thank you for not taking my advice. You are amazing, and I am so sorry for not believing in you. So there you go.
Alan.
So he wasn't trying to stand in my way. He was trying to help me,
Right.
but he would have stood in my way if he'd convinced me. So
And what did you
Thank
take
goodness.
from that experience?
when I took
Don't listen to Alan.
I actually, I obviously shared it with my family and tried to say, well, is he right, and we talked about it, and he was having a difficult time with his business at the time, and so he was just trying to push his life lessons and where he was right now on me, because he was feeling under pressure with all of his commitments, and he didn't want to see that with me. So it came from a really good place, but it was different for me.
Sure.
People's past experience does not have to be your future experience.
That's right.
Right? So often we look for a mentor and we're trying to pull out wisdom based on how they did it. But, look, you want to go somewhere different. And these are intense times. Like so often we feel lost or adrift because we're really going somewhere where nobody else has gone before. In medicine, in psychology, in esoterics, in fashion, we're really pioneers. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the same question actually goes for you. Has anything or anyone stood in your way as an obstacle? And if so, how did you sort of navigate through that?
I'm the only person that stands in my way. And and so I get out of my way. But what does that really mean? Get out of your way. We hear that so often, and it sounds great. It's such a new ageism. What that means is, let me think about that for a second. Getting out of my way has everything to do with self-worth. So when I'm in my way, I'm putting obstacles in front of me that say, not worth it, work harder, get on the airplane when you don't really need to, be louder, instead of just being radiant and letting it come. And so nobody's stood in my way.
Absolutely. Great. So what would you say, guys? Lorna, what has been your biggest challenge to get to where you are today?
Can I just say I love a challenge?
I'm shocked.
I love it, and it's so funny because I can actually, my husband's a CEO, I do the creative and he runs the business, and I can see that he knows that, and I can feel him manipulating me and making something he wants me to do sound like a challenge. And I'm like, I know what you're doing. It works though. I guess because he's got my best interests at heart. Biggest challenge, I think I touched on it earlier, my biggest challenge was getting people to think I wasn't crazy. Not that I really wanted to make them think that I wasn't crazy, but I think the more that they kept telling me I was crazy, to think that, one, I could design activewear and actually sell it to someone and not sell it to, and not sell it in a department store in another store. The fact that I wanted to design it, run my own factory, actually talk to the people who were buying the product and actually inspire them, and one person can't do that. The fact that I wanted to, I could see that. I think the biggest thing was that I could see that women were going to put on their activewear in the morning and wear it all day. It was like people were like. So the biggest thing for me was, one day these people are not going to think I'm crazy, and it's happened because I get interviewed now and people say, "Did you ever think that people would wear activewear?" And I say, "Are you crazy? I've been talking about this for 25 years." So it's reversed, which is really good. But that was the biggest thing, It used to be one day I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm not crazy.
Excellent.
That's leadership. Is to have a vision and you stand by that vision. It's not about popularity. And that's where you get sweaty, right? Because you do think, am I crazy? My most daring moments have been when I have said, trust me. It takes a lot to do that.
It does.
Yeah, because you might be wrong.
And the people that do trust you, you have to keep them close because they're keepers. They are the people that will just believe in you and have faith in you. You know, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Because we can be a bit crazy, can't we?
Yeah.
Speaking of believe,
Yeah.
Danielle, I'd like to ask you, what do you believe?
Could you ask me a bigger question? What do I believe? I believe that everything is progress. Everything. Even the suffering, even the setbacks, even all the things we cannot explain, the tragedies, all progress, all of it. I believe everything happens for a reason. That's related to everything is progress. I believe that if you heal and invest and empower women, you heal everything else. Because women are healers, right? So you fuel the healers, and then the women make sure the children are raised with healthy ideals. The women make sure the ocean gets cleaned. The women make sure that politics are gender balanced. So my resources go into women because they take care of everybody.
Thank you. That's amazing
Yeah, I love
insight for all of us to recognize. So thank you for sharing that. Lorna, do you want to talk anything about what do you believe?
I'd love to just talk a little bit about what Danielle said in
sure.
that. If I could count the amount of times that people say to me, when are you going to make menswear? You know, and my thought process comes exactly around that. I really believe that women are the people that raise the families. They're the people that decide how much TV their kids are watching. They decide whether the family's going to be fit and healthy. And I feel like if I can inspire the women, then they will actually inspire their families and their communities. So we're pretty powerful. You men are pretty good too. But I really believe that. It really resonated with me because that's exactly how I feel.
Oh, that's great.
To the women.
Yeah.
To the women.
To the women.
Yes. Speaking of that, because we all have smiles on our face, which kind of brings us happiness and joy. Lorna, first I want to ask you, what is the happiest you've ever been? And where that source is?
You know what? I'm always happy. Whether it's contentment and not happiness, because sometimes I think people think of happiness as those joyous moments, you know, but for me, happiness is a calmness and that things are as they should be. You know, when I'm been on a long trip and I'm home and I'm in bed and I've got a good book and my husband's falling asleep beside me and my dog's curled up at my toes, I'm so happy at that moment. And the thought that comes into my head is like, things are as they should be. It's the small things, you know. But I think I'm most passionate, most happy when I'm doing the things that I'm passionate about. So, you know, designing activewear, hiking, yoga, being with my family and friends. And I think that's what it is. It's doing what you love, being with what you love. I think that's where my happiness comes from. I just try to do it as much as possible. So I feel happy all the time. I really do. I only notice when I'm not feeling happy. So I'm fortunate enough that happiness is my general state, I guess.
That's amazing.
Doing what you want to do.
Yeah. And how about for you, Danielle?
Not happy all the time. I feel a deep sense of joy all the time, and I think that's what you're talking about. My kid and the drumming, you know, like just after Christmas. So our thing with Christmas is the tree goes up December 1st, and the 26th is down.
Yeah.
I'm in, and then, you know, and I'm just like, I'm taking the decorations off the tree, and my kid's playing the drums, and there's been a lot of gluten and sugar, and life is good. I'm just I'm in my bubble. I'm happy having great conversations. I'm really happy by myself, and I'm an extreme introvert, hard to tell right now, but really happy in stillness and silence, and equally happy, like, you know, just give me a mic and I'll rock it. Mondays are my day to write. Really love Mondays.
Love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, kind of a schedule, do you, either of you, have a schedule that you sort of go by that are kind of non-negotiables, where you make time to be creative or be leaders and not get yourself too overwhelmed? Are you able to organize?
Well, I want to know what your workout schedule is.
It's not much. People have this thing that I work out all the time. I do weight training.
Why would they think
Just because I wear activewear doesn't mean I'm working out. I train with a trainer twice a week, and I do yoga 3 to 4 times a week, and I walk my dog twice a day. It's not really. And sometimes the yoga's just in my house, you know. I have a subscription, and I just roll out the mat and do 30 minutes. It's not a lot. I do eat really well, though.
My commitment to sweating is it has to happen in the morning or it does not happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, then I have to do something with a friend in the evening. And so there's got to be like a buddy system to get me out to yoga class. Yoga is my main practice. I've never been on the verge, but I would say yoga is the closest thing I have to like a life-saving practice for myself. And it's not about getting better at all. It's just about what it does for me, how I feel on that. And spinning is kind of my thing, and I found the studio in Vancouver where it's about an athletic spin, not about how great you look spin. There are no mirrors in the class, and this is a really good idea. And I do something called the Entrepreneurial Time Management System, started by a coach named Dan Sullivan. It's been working for me for years. When I get off track with this, I'm really off track. So it's basically like that. You have 3 kinds of days. You have a buffer day, a focus day, and a free day. And I love the buffer day. So the buffer day is all about the loose ends, and it's where I do the busy work, and I go through my emails, and I make my phone calls, and I do my scheduling, and all of that. And it's all to set me up for my focus day. And on that focus day, I do what only I in my company can do. So I am the only one that writes Danielle stuff. And I am the only one who gets on airplanes to do gigs. So like those are the days I do that. And then free is free. Like I am not doing any work. And there's all sorts of flow and mishmash. And if I don't do any of that, no criticism.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very healthy way.
How many free days?
2 free days. Ask the overachiever. Yeah, only 2.
That's okay.
Yeah, but you have to block out your holiday time for the year,
Yeah.
and that's where you can go wild. Like I collectively I went 3 months off this year. Yeah.
Excellent. That's great advice for all of us. Let's play a little game. Let's play Finish the Sentence.
Oh, I love that.
So, Lorna, for you, women are
Coming into their power.
I like it. Danielle, I have
Gratitude.
love it. Lorna, life is
Just as good as you decide it will be.
great advice. Great advice. Danielle, I'm thankful for
The light.
how about I wish.
I can't tell you.
That's right. There are some things we just
Yeah.
need to keep in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Lorna, I believe
anything is possible if you're willing to work for it.
Thank you. How about Lorna, for you, I am
Me.
great. And how about for you, Danielle?
I am intense.